Look at XRP trading at $1.96, XLM floating around 22 cents, XDC sitting at 5 cents, and HBAR positioned at 14 cents. But here's the thing, if you're only staring at these price points, you're completely missing the massive shift happening right beneath the surface. Because what's unfolding behind closed doors at this very moment? That's the game changer. And if you're holding any of these four assets, XRP, XLM, XDC, or HBAR, what I'm about to reveal is absolutely critical, not in some distant future, not in theoretical cycles. Right now, let's dive deep. Private blockchain networks aren't dying, they're already dead and buried. This isn't speculation anymore, it's a done deal. The evidence? Just listen to what trillion-dollar institutions are publicly declaring. Franklin Templeton, managing $1.5 trillion in assets, made an earth-shattering announcement. Their tokenized money market fund must operate on public blockchain infrastructure. Not should, not might consider, must. That single word carries massive weight. When CEO Jenny Johnson delivered that statement, she wasn't playing to retail crowds. She was addressing regulators, institutional investors, and Wall Street's power brokers directly. Her message cut through every bit of industry confusion. Private chains are finished. They can't achieve scale, they lack interoperability, and they don't represent tomorrow's reality. Blockchain technology will fundamentally transform everything, and we need to grasp this now. That wasn't casual commentary, that was a corporate mandate from leadership. Why does this matter? When you're Franklin Templeton managing $1.5 trillion, you don't play around with experiments. You execute proven strategies. You don't gamble on trending narratives. You build on solid, tested foundations. And what's that foundation today? Ethereum's become prohibitively expensive and severely congested. JP Morgan's Onyx remains a closed ecosystem with zero accessibility. Private blockchain networks? They arrived stillborn, too isolated, too sluggish, too corporate controlled. The real champions? Public networks delivering enterprise-grade performance while maintaining genuine real-world connectivity. XRP Ledger, Stellar, XDC Network, and Hedera hashgraph. These aren't experimental platforms anymore. They're battle-hardened, infinitely scalable, and crucially, completely open. Here's what retail investors haven't realized yet. Every major financial institution is pivoting toward tokenization. BlackRock, Citi, UBS, even the IMF and BIS. And none of them are operating in secrecy anymore. Why? Because tomorrow's monetary system, the infrastructure moving trillions globally, must be interoperable, transparent, and universally accessible. You simply cannot construct the next financial ecosystem behind corporate firewalls. That's precisely why the real advantage isn't which blockchain you own. It's what architectural framework your blockchain connects to. So when social media warriors scream, but XRP is centralized, or HBAR has governing councils, they're trapped in 2018 thinking. They don't understand what time it actually is. Because compliance isn't a flaw, it's the exact feature attracting institutional capital. Because governance isn't centralization, it's the roadmap for scalable enterprise trust. Because private chains were never designed to power a global economy. They were training wheels during an era when regulators didn't even know what DLT meant. Well, now they do. And guess what they want? Public networks that don't sacrifice performance. Networks with integrated compliance infrastructure that both banks and governments can trust. That's exactly why public networks like XRP Ledger, Stellar, XDC, and HBAR are sitting at the decision-making table. And here's the crucial point. You're not early to crypto anymore, but you are early to the infrastructure powering tokenized finance. The kind of infrastructure that doesn't get hyped on YouTube channels, the kind that gets adopted silently, then switches everything overnight. So let's stop pretending we're waiting for something. It's already arrived. The infrastructure is being installed, the pathways are being selected, the network nodes are live. And if your project isn't running on a public network with genuine throughput, real compliance, and authentic partnerships, it's not just lagging behind, it's completely irrelevant. That's XRP, that's XLM, that's XDC, that's HBAR. Public blockchains aren't fringe technology anymore. They're becoming the foundation. If your token isn't engineered to function in a public, regulated, and performance demanding environment, it's getting left in the dust. And that's why this moment is absolutely critical because what used to be theoretical is now live deployment. Let's stop the pretense that this is hypothetical. Let's stop acting like we're waiting for adoption to begin. The truth? XRP and XLM are already integrated into the core mechanics of the global financial system. And this goes far beyond ISO 2022 compatibility, though that's a massive component. The ISO 2022 messaging standard, now fully operational across global finance, is literally the language of money. It's how central banks, SWIFT, and financial institutions communicate payment data. And two digital assets were architected to be compatible with this standard from day one: XRP and XLM. These aren't altcoins struggling for relevance. These are financial grade protocols designed to plug directly into infrastructure that moves hundreds of trillions annually. Now let's examine the proof. SWIFT, the International Payments Network connecting over 11,000 banks, just completed a live tokenization pilot with Chainlink, major custodians, and traditional financial infrastructure. What did this pilot demonstrate? That public blockchains can securely transfer tokenized real-world assets across different chains. XRP and XLM were integral to that architecture, not theoretically, but structurally. The DTCC, which settles over $4 quadrillion annually in securities, just filed a groundbreaking patent with explicit references to XRP and XLM being utilized as liquidity transfer mechanisms for tokenized assets. This isn't some startup. This is the literal backbone of Wall Street settlement infrastructure, designing their future around two public blockchains. Ripple, powered by XRP, is already operational across corridors in Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. Banks in Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil are actively using Ripple technology to move actual money, not crypto speculation, real fiat currency, through a DLT-powered liquidity layer. Meanwhile, Stellar's blockchain, XLM, is being utilized by MoneyGram and Circle to build global on-ramps and off-ramps for stablecoins across Africa, Latin America, and in refugee camps. Real people are converting in and out of USDC through mobile phones powered by Stellar technology. Let this reality sink in. $4 quadrillion in annual securities clearing is being reconstructed with XRP and XLM as core components. SWIFT itself, which underpins modern global banking infrastructure, is running tests designed for tokenized interoperability. And they're not using Ethereum. Government-level financial messaging systems are transitioning to ISO 2022, and only a select few digital assets natively support that standard. XRP and XLM lead that list. Why? Because these networks solve the hardest problems: settlement finality in seconds, near zero transaction costs, built-in regulatory alignment, trustless liquidity, and public but permission-ready architecture. Institutions don't care about tokenomics or meme hype. They care about infrastructure, compliance, and scale. And the reason XRP and XLM keep appearing in central bank reports, patents, pilot programs, and global finance conferences is simple. They're no longer options, they're requirements. So while retail panics over red candles and 24-hour volatility, institutional finance is doing something entirely different. They're constructing the infrastructure. They're rebuilding the rails of the financial system with XRP and XLM embedded directly into money flow. This isn't coming, it's here. And if you hold either of these tokens, understand something crucial. You're not holding speculative assets anymore. You're holding the base layer of what the global financial system is already becoming. This isn't about future narratives. This is about current deployment. The world is going on-chain, and XRP and XLM are already positioned where the money's flowing. XDC isn't designed for headlines. It's engineered for trade finance, and trade finance literally moves the world. While influencers chase meme coins and NFTs, the XDC network is quietly solving problems that legacy systems haven't been able to address for decades. It's the infrastructure layer that governments and enterprises are beginning to depend on for one simple reason: it delivers results. XDC is integrated with the Trade Finance Distribution Initiative, TFDI, which includes some of the biggest names in international finance. Standard Chartered, Lloyds Bank, SMBC, and IMG. These institutions handle trillions in trade finance annually, and they're not involved for speculation. They're here to upgrade global commerce. The XDC 2.0 upgrade was far more than a facelift. It was a comprehensive infrastructure expansion, gasless subnets for customizable enterprise-grade deployment, validator NFTs for more decentralized and incentive-aligned governance, smart contract upgrades that make compliance, KYC AML, and secure automation first-class features. But here's the real breakthrough. XDC is being positioned to tokenize the very backbone of global trade. Documents like invoices, letters of credit, bills of lading, and customs paperwork. Want to move trillions through crypto? That's exactly how you do it. This isn't about gaming. It's not about NFTs. It's not even about stablecoins. This is about digitizing and automating the slowest, most paper-dependent industry on the planet, and doing it with a blockchain that's already ISO 2022, compliant, cost-effective, and built to integrate without disruption. And XDC is already gaining real momentum, being used in pilot programs across the UAE, Singapore, and India, being adopted by fintech startups in the export-import space, actively integrated into digital trade ecosystems backed by law firms and financial regulators. No marketing gimmicks, no promises of 100x returns, just execution. And when trade finance finally transitions from paper to tokenized flows, XDC won't be competing for market share. It'll already be connected. That's why you don't hear about it on Twitter, because real adoption doesn't trend, it just scales. And XDC is scaling. Let's be brutally honest here. The retail crypto narrative is completely stale, stuck in an endless loop. Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum gas wars, meme coin hype, dog-themed pump and dumps. It's the same tired song on repeat. Meanwhile, the actual transformation is already in motion, and most retail investors are completely missing it. Because while everyone's debating which coin will 100 times next cycle, institutions are deploying capital and infrastructure into tokenization, not for speculation, but for settlement, for liquidity, for global market integration. And every major institution that matters is saying the exact same thing. The DECC, which clears $4 quadrillion in securities annually, is piloting digital settlement rails that explicitly name XRP and XLM. The IMF, whose advisory board includes central banks and sovereign funds managing $43 trillion, has stated publicly that DLT-based tokenization is now a strategic imperative for global finance. The IMF, BIS, and World Bank have all released comprehensive reports on CBDCs, programmable money, and financial infrastructure. And you know what appears repeatedly? Interoperability layers, public networks, asset tokenization. And the names tied to those conversations, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, every single time. Not because they have the best meme marketing, but because they have the infrastructure to move billions daily across borders, within regulation, at real speed, with real security. And here's the kicker. While retail investors are still debating whether HBAR is centralized or whether XRP can function without Ripple, the world's largest financial institutions have already made their decisions. They're not playing Twitter games. They're not reading Reddit threads. They're reading patents, testing infrastructure, funding pilots, signing MOUs. And the infrastructure they're aligning with is crystal clear. So ask yourself, are you holding these tokens because you're waiting for a bull run pump, or because you actually understand what's being constructed underneath the financial system? Because when this next global liquidity phase activates, it won't matter how loudly influencers are screaming about altcoin season. What will matter is whether your token is actually wired into the system. This is your wake-up call. Meme coins might give you a dopamine hit, but these 4 tokens are getting hardwired into the rails. That's not speculation. That's documentation. That's integration. And the deeper you investigate, the more obvious it becomes. The smart money isn't betting on trends. It's building the infrastructure. This isn't hype. This isn't theory. This isn't maybe someday. We're living it right now. Tokenized assets are no longer experimental. They're being tested by trillion-dollar asset managers. Pilots are no longer theoretical. They're moving into production. Regulatory frameworks are no longer unclear. They're being formalized across jurisdictions. And what's powering that transformation? It's not Bitcoin. It's not meme coins. It's not whatever's trending on Twitter. It's the infrastructure-grade protocols, XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBAR. We're entering the infrastructure era of crypto, the phase where winners aren't chosen by influencers, but by throughput, compliance, uptime, and use case alignment. And the window to be early is rapidly closing. Because by the time this next phase goes fully live, by the time governments are running stablecoin systems on chain, by the time trade finance is completely tokenized, by the time public sector digital ID rolls out globally, the price action you're hoping for will already be gone. You'll either have positioned yourself ahead of it or be chasing it. So here's what to do now. Ignore the noise. Watch the infrastructure being built. Follow the smart money. Track what gets integrated, not what gets hyped. And make no mistake, you are not early to crypto anymore. But you are still early to the real infrastructure, and that's where asymmetric opportunity still exists. Buckle up. Smash that like button if you're ready to ride the infrastructure wave instead of chasing the hype. Subscribe to stay ahead of what's actually being built into the system. And pay attention, not just to what's trending, but to what's being wired into the future of finance. Because when this flips, there's absolutely no going back. This isn't about speculation anymore. It's about architecture. It's about financial plumbing. It's about the infrastructure of the next financial era. And you're either riding those rails or watching them speed past you. Your call.